If you're new to the channel, my name is Coach Judah and I've been a personal trainer for over a decade. I've helped people build muscle, lose body fat, and transform their lives through fitness. And today I'm going to be covering the 5 realities of losing fat that nobody really talks about. And what I mean by that is that a lot of people online will tell you how to set up your diet, what foods to eat, what it should look like structurally, but they might not talk about the mental aspect of what it actually feels like to be on a diet. And actually, as you get deeper into it, what that's going to mean longer term and how to push through some of those plateaus, and also just some of the nuances around fat loss and weight loss that most people might not think about before attempting it. Also, I realize that about 95% of the people watching this video right now are new to the channel, not subscribed to the channel. So if you do want help with your strength, your fitness, your nutrition, and you're looking for free resources, I highly recommend subscribing to the channel because we do release new videos every single month, as well as we have a comprehensive newsletter which you can sign up for down below. It's got free information about strength training, lifestyle coaching, etc. And you can also work with me online or in person if you're in Vancouver or from anywhere in the world digitally. But enough about that, let's get into our 5 realities about fat loss, with the first one being that fat loss is not a linear process. And now this is something that I've seen again and again with tons of my clients over the past decade. And people think that they're just gonna go straight down in a line, basically like a slope, but usually it's more of a roller coaster ride, right? We're gonna have peaks and valleys, ups and downs. And especially in the first part of fat loss, you're actually gonna lose a lot more water weight than you do body fat. So you might see an initial dip where you're losing some water weight, and that might be a little bit faster, and then things start to slow down. Additionally, if you haven't been in the gym for a long time and you start to lift weights, you could actually be increasing your muscle mass and decreasing your body fat simultaneously, which is quite common for new gym goers. And this can also lead to a stagnation of the scale, meaning that when you jump on the scale each morning or each week, you don't really see a lot of fluctuation in the beginning. And this can be very discouraging to some people. So what you need to realize is that fat loss does not happen in a linear fashion. It happens as a roller coaster ride. There's gonna be peaks and valleys, ups and downs. It's even common for some people to go back up several pounds in weight and then they come down afterwards. I like to use the stock market almost as an analogy for this, because in the stock market, you're gonna have ups and downs, peaks and valleys, but that market opening is always gonna change. And what we're looking for is the trends, right? Where are you trending week over week, month over month? The day by day doesn't matter too much as long as we're consistent with our actual fitness, our nutrition. We're making strides in the right direction when it comes to our habits. We're gonna see that weight start to trend down, and we're gonna see our body composition start to change. So if you can make it past that first month, that 2 months, that 3-month mark, and you're seeing the trending going down, that is gonna be your best bet for doing this longer term and making it a habit and a lifestyle, right? Most people get discouraged though. The other thing that really throws people off is that they think that a scale change is equal to body fat, which is never the case. Usually it's the quick changes in body fat are gonna be water retention, hormonal changes, and or changes in stress, which are causing you to hold on to more bodily fluid. Those are gonna be the biggest fluctuations that you have in your body weight, as well as say you weighed yourself in the morning, you ate food throughout the day, and then you weighed yourself in the evening, you're also gonna have much more food matter in your body, which is going to increase your weight as well, right? Carbohydrates also hold on to water, which also leads to a gain in water weight. So 9 times out of 10, if you saw the scale go up in one day, it's not body fat, it's just fluid, usually through either sodium, water, or stress and hormonal changes. And this leads us into point number 2. And point number 2 is that you will feel hungry sometimes, especially when you're on a calorie deficit or you're doing a diet. Because at the end of the day, what we're doing is we're reducing the number of calories that we're eating on a daily basis. And if that's less than what you're used to, your body is going to start to feel the hunger response. Innately, most people, as soon as they feel hungry, they will automatically try to fill that void or go for some food or some snacks to try to alleviate that feeling. But this is actually a sign that your diet is actually working and that the nutrition is actually working. You are gonna feel hungry some of the time, right? And there's also such a thing as true hunger, right? When your body's hungering for nutrients and food. There's also habitual/boredom hunger, right? So we also have to really start to get a little more conscientious and in tune with our body and realize what is real hunger, when am I actually hungry for food, for nutrients, and when am I just snacking out of boredom or for the sake of habit. A lot of times when the foods that we eat are higher in calorie but lower in volume, we tend to become hungrier a lot faster. So one of my tips for most people is to stick to mostly whole foods and higher volume foods, right? So this means things like high protein consumption, eating lots of fruits and vegetables, eating higher volumes of low calorie carbohydrates, like stuff like quinoa, couscous, rice, etc. This can actually lead to you being fuller for longer, as well as you're getting a lot of nutrient density. And it also fills up and takes up more space in your stomach, which means that you won't feel hungry as quick as if you were to eat something like, say, a sleeve of Oreos, which is super calorically dense, but doesn't really have a lot of nutrients and doesn't take up a lot of space in your stomach once it's consumed. So those two things are going to be vastly different in the amount of nutrients and the amount of space that they take up, but one is going to take you towards your goals, one is probably not going to take you towards your goals. Lastly, a lot of the population is chronically dehydrated, just meaning that we don't have enough water on a daily basis, and or maybe we have electrolyte issues. I think it's usually the previous though, of people just not drinking enough water. A lot of times when I talk to clients and I ask them, how much water they had that day, it's simply not enough for what they need. And sometimes that hunger response or that hunger feeling could actually just be a feeling from thirst or from dehydration. So sometimes, if you've had a good amount of food that day but you still feel hungry, it's always good to do a bit of a water test. Have a big glass of water, wait 10 to 15 minutes, and then see if you're actually still hungry or not. This does take a little bit of self-control and self-reflection, but it can be a really good tip and a really good strategy to use if you're on a fat loss journey and using a calorie deficit. Okay, and moving on to the third reality, and that is that your performance will likely dip a little bit in the gym. If you're used to moving heavier weights or you're used to being really, really aggressive in the gym, you might take a little bit of a hit because you have less total carbohydrates and less total calories in the system. I've seen this a lot with clients over the years. If you're doing a really extreme calorie deficit or you're completely cutting a large amount of carbohydrates out of the system, you're not going to have as much go juice when it comes to performing athletically in the gym. So a really good way to think about this is if we are lowering our calories and we do want to perform better in the gym, is we need to do a bit of what's called carb cycling, which just means that we're putting the majority of our carbohydrates in and around the workout time, right? So if I know that I'm eating less, but I want to perform well in the gym, I'm going to have a good chunk of my carbohydrates about an hour to an hour and a half before my workout, and then immediately following the workout. What this does is it boosts our available glycogen in the muscle. It also promotes insulin in the body, which can help with preventing muscle wasting as well as improves muscle performance. Having the carbs in and around the workout is a really good strategy to do if you're on a deficit, as well as just knowing that if you're not hitting the same numbers as you were before, that's totally normal. You don't have as much fuel in the gas tank. Imagine that your body is running on, a quarter tank of gas rather than a full tank of gas. That's basically what you want to think about, is that we don't have as much fuel. We're trying to actually elicit a body fat response, and you can't expect yourself to perform at the same level that you did prior to going on a deficit. And this is not to say that you still can't PR or increase the weights that you're using while you're on a deficit. I've had lots of clients that were newer to the gym be in a deficit and still be getting stronger, and that's also what I advise, is do not lower your weights just because you're on a deficit, right? You shouldn't be going from I was doing heavy weights or 6 to 10 reps for a moderate heavy weight, and then be like, I'm on a fat loss phase now, so I'm gonna do sets of 15 to 20 with lighter dumbbells. That's not what we wanna do. We wanna try to maintain as much muscle mass as possible through our fat loss phase. And I always say we need to keep doing what we did to build the muscle to keep the muscle. So if we were lifting heavy, lifting hard, lifting aggressively, you do want to try to bring that same intensity to your workouts regardless of the amount of calories coming in. That is going to maintain as much muscle mass as possible as we get into our deficit, and will lead to better results long term when you're looking at body composition changes. And this leads us into the fourth reality, which is going to be that social situations and outings are going to become harder. Generally, for most people, it's going to become harder, right? Holidays, birthdays, going out with the work team for dinners. this is where a lot of people tend to find it really hard to stay on track with their nutrition, or they feel like they messed up because they went out for a big evening. I try to reframe it a little bit and say that, you know, it is a marathon, not a sprint necessarily, and we're trying to create a lifestyle around nutrition and around fitness, around fat loss. And this is a period of time where we're trying to elicit a fat loss response, but there will be a time where, you know, you're not in a diet anymore, and we need to kind of bring that into the forefront and bring that into focus. So when it comes to social settings and social engagements, I think the biggest issue is not the social engagement themselves. I think the issue is with planning, right? So pre-planning, knowing that you have something coming up. You know, if you're going to a dinner, looking at the restaurant ahead of time, what's on the menu, what kind of things are within the realm of, you know, my nutrition plan, and what can I make as edits for those items on the menu that will help me get to my goals. Secondly is you can look at things like pre-eating. So you know you're gonna go out for dinner, you don't want to go crazy. You could have something high protein prior to going out for dinner to pre-fill your stomach, make sure that you have a good amount of nutrients in your system, and that way you're not going to overeat when you go to the party or to the dinner, because you kind of are trying to strategize and keep yourself ahead of the curve when it comes to that feeling of hunger and that feeling of, you know, wanting to eat whatever's on the table. There's also certain rules you could set for yourself, things like, hey, I'm only gonna have one plate of food here. I'm gonna eat slowly and enjoy that food, but I'm not gonna go back for seconds or thirds. That's a good way to kind of keep yourself in check and make sure that you're only having a smaller quantity of food and not just eating throughout the entire evening. So once again, I'm not telling my clients that they can't go to the holiday party, they can't enjoy their birthday, they can't go out with their coworkers, but I think it does take a little bit more mental planning and strategizing on their part to keep themselves in the realm of the plan. And the other thing is that even if they do go out and they do have whatever they want and they had a high calorie meal, is not to overanalyze that and to get in their head too much about it, and just to get back on track and get back onto the system. Because at the end of the day, we're all going to have those days where, you know, we had a stressful day or something happened and maybe we ate a little bit more food. But once again, like I said in the first part of this video, it's about the trend. It's about the ups and downs. We're going to have ups and downs through this entire process. It's not linear. So if you're basing everything on one meal and you're like, oh, I messed up, everything's ruined. No, you have usually 3 meals in a day, which means that you're having at least 21 meals in a week. And if one of those meals is a little bit higher calorie, guess what? You have a bunch of chances to make that up. And also, it's about the long game with this. It's not about who can lose fat the fastest. It's about, hey, let's get our bodies healthy. Let's build a system around fitness and nutrition, and let's live a healthy and fit lifestyle, right? That's really what this comes down to. And the fifth and final reality, guys, and this one is super important, is that it does take longer than you think. I know there's tons of marketing around this. Everyone's saying, hey, I'm gonna get you jacked in 12 weeks, or you can lose 20 pounds in 6 weeks, or whatever it might be, some bold, crazy claim. Most times it's going to take longer than you think, and that's because people aren't perfect. Like I said, you're gonna have fluctuations up and down. It's hard to actually put the system in place and to get it to work properly. And not only that, but to lose fat safely and effectively, you do want to do it a little bit more slowly and a little bit more accurately. You don't just want to hammer a fat loss phase and go into a super deep deficit that's going to, you know, tank your hormones, tank your energy, and make you feel absolutely like garbage. You want to do this in a manageable way. So realistically speaking, most people can lose about 0.5 to 1% of their total body weight per week healthily. I'm not saying it can't be done faster than that, it can. This equals around 1 to 2 pounds per week, and that is if everything is in check and you're actually in a calorie deficit and you're actually doing additional movement, right? There's 2 toggles we have with fat loss. Those 2 toggles are how much am I eating and how much am I moving. And there is a base level with nutrition where you don't want to go lower than that. Like obviously I can just keep eating less and less and less, but eventually that just becomes 0, and that's not where we want to be, because you will die. If you do not eat food, you will die. So basically what we want to do is we want to figure out what our basal metabolic rate is. We want to figure out what our daily protein needs are, fiber needs, and calories. And you guys can just use Claude or ChatGPT to do that. That's an easy way to do this, right? And it's fairly accurate. It's not perfect, but it's fairly accurate. Good starting point. And after that, we want to see how we respond to that. And if we are on the ball with it and we're getting a response, nothing really needs to change. But as soon as you see, oh, it's been 2 or 3 weeks, I'm not actually losing any more weight, I'm not really seeing any changes, that is when we can look at, okay, do I want to decrease my total calorie intake? or do want to increase my total movement. This could be as simple as just walking more, right? I say a really good intervention for most people in the beginning is look at your total daily steps. If you have a phone or a step tracker, you should have that easily available, and just add 1,000 to 2,000 steps per day. That's going to be a very simple way to do this in the beginning. And as I also said previously in this video, most people don't have a movement and nutrition problem like they have a consistency problem, right? They start strong, they put everything in line, they're eating healthier, they're moving more, but they overload themselves, they don't actually put it into a system, and they also get discouraged when they see that weight plateau or when they see the weight go back up and down. There's a popular picture online, and it's basically of a man digging for diamonds, and he's super close, right? He's almost there, but then he ends up turning around just before he hits the jackpot. I feel that's what a lot of people do with their fat loss phase, is they're doing all the right things, they actually are changing their body composition, but because they're so obsessed with the scale and they're so obsessed with doing it quickly, they quit because they think it's not working, right? And so you do need to keep that in mind. It's gonna take longer than you think. You gotta work on the basics, move more, eat a little bit less, focus on high volume foods. That means vegetables, fruits, lean meats, nuts, legumes, whatever it takes. Remove some of the processed garbage from your diet, because we all know that that is a piece of the puzzle. As much as we wanna say, yeah, we could just eat, you know, McDonald's and cookies every day and lose weight. Some people have done that effectively. Very few have actually done it effectively though. I will say that right now. You're best off with whole foods, stuff that's gonna sustain you, give you nutrients, give you vitamins, minerals, and actually make you feel good. When you start eating a whole foods based diet, maybe supplementing with some additional, you know, vitamin D or omega-3, creatine, stuff like that, you're gonna feel better. You're gonna feel much, much better. And a lot of people actually feel like they can't eat a lot of whole foods without getting full, right? So once again, there's a lot of videos online of people comparing, like, oh, here's how much calories is in, you know, 12 cookies, and here is a bowl of rice and lettuce and meat, and it's a ton of food, but this one has like 4x the calories of the bowl of rice and meat and vegetables, but this one would fill you up much more, right? That's the whole concept. High volume foods, high nutrient dense foods are going to keep you feeling fuller for longer, more satiated, and you won't feel as hungry and as snacky come the evening. And that's when most people have less brain power because they've been working all day, their decision making is lower, and they want to snack. So that is the biggest thing there, guys. It's gonna take a bit longer than you think, and all the other points that I previously mentioned kind of stack on top of that as well, right? It's not linear. You're gonna have to go through periods of hunger. Your performance might dip in the gym, and social settings might be hard for a bit. But know if your goal is fat loss, you have to go through those things because that is a part of the game. So I hope this gave you a better reality check of what it's actually gonna be like to do a fat loss phase, or maybe if you tried one in the past, which of these points resonated with you. You can leave a comment down below which one you liked the most. Also, if you have ideas for other videos that you want us to cover, please leave a comment. We do read and reply to all the comments, and we want to make videos for you guys, right? So if you have questions, you have certain topics we want us to cover, let us know down below. That being said, if you're not subscribed to the channel, please click that subscribe button. Leave a like on the video if you enjoyed it, as it does help push this video to more people, and we will see you in the next one. Peace.